Let's take a look at the process of interpretation, because this is a type of reasoning that crosses disciplinary categories in very interesting ways. Interpretation involves categorizing something. So, for example, this organization is a religion, Pluto is not a planet, and this student is disengaged are all interpretation. The categorization, or interpretation, is supported by an observation that the thing interpreted has certain properties. We can think of this as the data, taken in conjunction with the claim that those properties are somehow associated with membership in the category. This is where theory comes in, because theories provide interpretive frameworks that direct attention to particular features of the subject domain and away from others. These theories can be consciously or unconsciously held. What we have here, by the way, is an argument map that represents the process of interpretation and so provides a template to support that reasoning. Each box contains a claim. We can give the boxes numbers if we want to, just to make them easier to refer to later. If one claim is below another and connected to the claim above it with a green line, then the claim on the bottom is being given as a reason to believe the claim on the top. That relationship is an infer. So, for example, the claim in box 3.1, whatever that claim might be, would give us reason to believe the claim in box 2.1. And the claim in box 3.2, whatever that claim might be, would give us reason to believe the claim in box 2.2. Because claims 2.1 and 2.2 are grouped together with a horizontal bracket, they work together to support the claim in box 1.1. The green lines that connect the claims on the bottom, the claims above them that they support, represent inferences. We might label inferences with letters just to make them easier to refer to later. So let's see an example of how this template works. We might interpret an organization as a religion by noting that the organization provides its members with a sense of purpose and asserting that something is a religion if it provides its members with a sense of purpose. Of course, that theory of religion might very well be inadequate. The template can represent bad interpretations as well as good ones. It's just a framework to help students see how an interpretation works. And once they understand it, they can more easily evaluate it, because some problems like this one become kind of obvious. Here's another example. The International Astronomical Union has decided that Pluto isn't a planet because Pluto hasn't cleared its neighboring region of other objects, and something is a planet only if it clears its neighboring region of other objects. This is an example where it might be useful to flesh out the map by providing evidence for Pluto's failure to clear the region, which would go beneath 2.1, and justification for taking clearing the region as a necessary condition for being a planet, which would go beneath 2.2. Finally, suppose that someone interprets a student as disengaged on the grounds that the student doesn't talk in class. Looking at the template, we can see that this interpretation must assume that engaged students talk in class, and this assumption is certainly open to question and possibly culturally biased. This reasoning template is a simplification, of course, but for that very reason, it might help students to internalize and utilize the reasoning schema, to understand the difference between theory and data, to understand or uncover the categories used by a specific theory, and to evaluate instances of this reasoning. There are a number of ways to use the template for teaching and assessment. We might provide students with a description of a thing and some theoretical categories and ask them to determine the appropriate interpretation of the thing given those categories. We might provide students with a description of a thing and its interpretation and ask them to identify what that tells us about the categories that are being used. Are we, for instance, assuming that engaged students must talk in class? And once we've uncovered our theoretical categories, we can ask students to evaluate those categories. And of course, we might want to dig deeply into the justification for the theory and the theoretical categories that we're using. You can probably think of many other ways to use this template or to improve upon it, and we'd love to learn what you do. Thanks.